All right, let's try this again. Um, as I noted in the description for part one, and we'll mention in the description of part two here, my phone, which I have to record on as I don't have a webcam, uh, decided for reasons known only to it that it wanted to start opening other applications. All of a sudden, I'm finding myself looking at music players. It's like, why? And so it cut it off, and well, um, I decided to start uploading part one and continue on with part two from where we were. We were talking about pens. Yeah, I had started using a fountain pen. This is so much fun to write with. I love writing with the fountain pen. Like I said, the feel of the nib as it moves across the page, it's much more tactile, and I like it. But again, as I titled these both of these videos, the same thing differently, as in everybody does the same thing differently. I write by hand in pen on spiral bound notebooks. Some people uh, can sit at their computers or on their laptops and write that way. You know, we all do the same thing differently. The goal is to tell the best story you can, not for us to be cookie cutters. We're not cookie cutter people. We're not cookie cutter writers. Um, so you sit and you write. Now, there are people who will say that you have to write every day. This I do agree with. I agree with this to a point. You should try to do your best to write every day. Now, let me give you a quick outline here. I My day job is Monday through Friday, doing some overtime on Saturdays, but my main shift is Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Uh, because I know how. I mean, it only takes me a half hour to get to work, but I leave about an hour or so early because I know how long it takes me to get out of town. So I would get up. I used to get up at 8. I always, get up at 8, have breakfast, get ready, get dressed, make my lunch, get my coffee, and be out of the apartment 9:05, 9:05, something like that. And come home. Uh, I come straight home. Usually get here about quarter after 7, 20 after 7. Then I have to make dinner, clean up after dinner, relax a little bit. So my plan, and this is still a plan, I'm subverting it a bit now, um, is by 10 o'clock at night to be away from the computer and whatever I was doing on the computer, get away from the computer and sit over on the side of the room where I am now in my comfy chair and write. Most days that works. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get up an hour earlier, get up at 7 and write until 8 o'clock and then go through, get ready, and all that. Um, I can do it most days. There are some days I cannot get out of bed. I'm not a morning person to begin with. Um, so there I am trying to get out of bed and write. I get up and make my coffee. I sit at my desk and I write. Usually it ends up being about 40. 5 minutes, give or take, by the time I get back to the desk. Sorry, the roof of my mouth is itchy. My allergies are starting to go. And people will also tell you that if you're not jamming out like 5,000 words a day, you're a hack. You're not taking it seriously and all that. I look at it this way: it's a marathon, not a sprint. I am by nature a slow writer. It's just the way I am. As much as I may say, don't edit until you're finished. The first draft doesn't have to be perfect and all that. I am constantly rewriting. I mean, if you take a look at the top of this page here. Now remember, this is from Wanderer. This is a completed story that I'm rewriting, and you can see this is the same paragraphs as down here. Still trying to get it right the first time. So my feeling is, as long as I have written something, have I moved the story forward? If it's a lot, if I really get into a groove and I'm on a roll and I've chunked out a couple thousand words, great. If I've only written a sentence, that's good too, because that's one more sentence than I had yesterday or this morning, whatever the last time I wrote was. I do try and write every day. I try very hard to write every day. I was writing before I started these videos. It's getting a little on in time. I'm going to have to call it a day soon because I have to be up early in the morning because I hate myself, and I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and write before I go in for a few hours of overtime. Yeah. But yeah. So if your and that would be my advice to someone working a full-time job, find the time to write. Now, I'm single, so there's a lot of things that, and I have to do everything. I have to make dinner. I have to do the laundry. I have to clean up. I have to do everything myself. There's no one here I can say, hey, honey, could you do me a favor? You mind making dinner tonight? I want to see if I can finish this scene. I've got nobody to do that. I have a cat, but, she's giving me the stink eye from across the room. Anyway, so you find time to write. For me, getting up that hour early, staying in bed, staying up and not staying in bed, staying up a little bit longer just to get something accomplished. My job, I only have a half-hour lunch break, so I really can't do a lot of writing then. But I've had other jobs where I've had hour breaks, where I've had my notebooks with me and I've written on my lunch breaks. So you have to find time to write somewhere along the line. You can crowbar some time, an hour or two, anything. Just find the time. You can do it. It's somewhere in your schedule. You just have to stop and think about it. Sometimes you have to make your change. Like me, I have to start getting used to getting up an hour earlier than I would. And when I find another job, a better job, hopefully, I'll make adjustments then to that schedule. What time do I have to be in? What time do I have to leave? What time do I have to get up? An hour before that. Excuse me. So you write, like I said, don't think too much about it. Just let it go. your first draft is usually your first instinct is usually correct. So just go with it. Don't worry about editing. Don't worry about anything else. Get it down on paper or onto the computer. Inconvenience those electrons. And then when it's finished, firstly, you have to know when it's finished. Sometimes that's hard. Then get it. What I do is I finish the handwritten draft. I type it up, save it on my computer, and then I forget about it for about 2 months. I don't think about it. I don't look at it. I don't read any of it. I don't do anything with it. I completely forget about it for about 2 months. And then I start editing. How many edits depends on the story. Minimum about 4. So what I'll do is I print it out, and again, old school, red pen. I don't have red fountain pens. I use ballpoints for these, for editing. I sit and I edit. Start at the top and just read through. The reason I let it sit for 2 months is because after 2 months, I've stopped thinking about it. I've moved on to other things. There's other projects I've written on. I'm reading possibly different books. And I can look at it like a first-time reader, like I'm seeing it for the first time. But you sit there and you know, okay, yes, I did write this. I recognize my own style. I can hear my own voice. I remember writing this. But you looking at it with a bit more objectivity. Excuse me. You're looking at it with a bit more objectivity. And so you start at the top, and I just change everything. Pulling out adverbs, rewriting sentences, rewriting scenes, adding things, taking things out. I'll go into editing a little bit more in another video. But that's basically how I write. It's it and I do. As Ray Bradbury once said, "Don't think about writing. Thinking is the enemy of writing." Or as Yoda said, "Try not. Do or do not. There is no try." Don't say you're going to try and write, sit and write. So that's my first draft process. Like I said, everybody does things differently. If it's easier for you to make an outline and you can follow it, knock yourself out. If you make it up as you go, pants it as they say, then do that. Whatever works for you. You have to do what works best for you. And on that, my phone I think is about to die, so I'm going to bring this to an end. Thank you for your indulgence. If you want to see me babble on some more, hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. I don't know if there's going to be a notification bell or not. You can click that to let you know when I upload videos. I'm going to try and do it more frequently than I used to. I'll also have a link to my website, which has links to all the books on it also. And until next time, thank you. Take care. See you around. Bye.